Hello everyone, I am Miss Pratiksha Singh welcoming you to our lecture number 10 on physics paper 3. Yes, in previous lecture we have completed our first chapter, that is acoustics of buildings of unit 1, and now in today's video we will study about second chapter, that is laser. Okay, so you all know about laser, you all are aware about laser, you have been played with red color laser in your childhood days, right? So here in this chapter we will study about introduction of laser, means actually what concept of laser is and in which color beams lasers are available, then what is the principle behind the laser beam, right? Then we will see some properties of laser and some applications where laser beam has been used. Okay, so these all topics we will study in today's lecture. So let us see what is actually laser or what is the history of laser. In early 1960s, quantum physics made enormous contribution to technology. So laser is the term which is actually related to quantum physics. So quantum physics has been made enormous contribution by introducing a laser. So laser is a device that creates intense beam of light which is called as laser beam. Yes. So the first working laser was built by American physicist whose name is Theodore Maiman. So he made first laser in 1960. So the basic principle involved in that laser is the phenomenon of stimulated emission. So what stimulated emission actually is, we will see in next slide. So that was predicted by Einstein, which was the first principle behind the laser is the phenomenon of stimulated emission. So that stimulated emission phenomenon has been described by Einstein in 1970. So according to Einstein theory, when an atom is in excited state, it can make a transition to lower energy state through the emission of electromagnetic radiations. Okay, so this actually what principle is, we will see in that slide. Okay, but what is actually laser? So it has a full form. Laser is acronym as light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Yes, here light is going to be amplified, and that amplification has been done because of stimulated emission of radiation or stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation. So how that emission occurs actually of that electromagnetic radiation and how that light gets amplified is that we will see in the principle behind the laser. Okay, so here what actually laser does, it emits a narrow beam of intense electromagnetic radiation or intense light. So laser not only amplifies or increases the intensity of light, but it also generates the light, and laser emits light through the process which is called as stimulated emission of radiation that I have been told you earlier. So which amplifies or increases intensity of light. Some lasers generates visible light, but other generates ultraviolet or infrared rays which are invisible, right? Some there are some type of laser which can generate visible light that are visible to our eyes, and some lasers are also there which generates ultraviolet UV rays, or some generates IR rays, that is infrared rays, which are invisible to us. So laser not only amplifies but it also increases the intensity of light and also generates the light. Okay, so laser emits a light through the process which is called as stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation. Okay, so that is the main and basic principle behind the laser. Okay, so this was all about the introduction to laser. I hope this is sufficient to all to know what actually laser is. Okay, it is light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Then what is the actually principle behind the laser? So in laser, actually photons are interacted in three ways with the atom. Photons means it is a packet of light energy, right? So that photon interacted with the atom, or electromagnetic radiations interacted with the atom. That interaction does by three ways. Which three ways? That is absorption of radiation. First of all, that photon may be absorbed, that radiation may be absorbed by atom. So absorption of radiation. Second is spontaneous emission, and the third is stimulated emission. These three basic ways by which photons can interact with atom, and that is the result of that is the emission of laser beam. Okay, so let us see all these three ways one by one. First is absorption of radiation. So here light is absorbed or emitted by atoms or molecules during their transition from one energy state to another energy state. Yes, here the atom is going to transit from one energy level, that is maybe a ground energy level, ground state, to the excited state. So that transition, when that transition occurs, that time the atom absorbs the light. Means actually this transition occurs due to the absorption. When light is absorbed by that atom goes from ground state energy level to the excited state energy level, right? Means from one energy state to another energy state. And in that process of absorption, that atom in a low energy absorbs radiation of an appropriate frequency, and as a result it get excited to an upper energy state, right? This is the absorption phenomenon. We know that light is absorbed or emitted by atoms or molecules during their transition from one energy state to another energy state. So here in the process, when atom in low energy state absorbs radiation, so as a result it gets excited to upper energy state, right? If you see in diagram, from E1 energy state to E2 energy state, that atom or that matter which has been absorbed that photon or the electromagnetic radiation, it gets excited from E1 energy level to the E2 energy level. Okay, and this absorption is done by using or we can say it can be explained according to the principle of conservation of energy, that is H nu is equal to E2 minus E1, where H is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of incident radiation, and this H nu is provided by an incident photon which is absorbed. Okay, and thus an incident photon is lost in this process, and this is known as stimulated absorption process. Okay, this is the first process by which we can say the laser beam is started or going to be generate. Okay, so I hope you must get the point what is absorption phenomenon. Here light is absorbed by the matter, and due to the absorption it gets excited from ground state energy level to the excited state energy level. Okay, this is the absorption phenomenon. Then second is the spontaneous emission. So it is one of the process by which excited atoms return to the ground state very soon. Means whatever the matter which has absorbed the light energy that we have seen in first process, that is absorption phenomenon, that matter or that atom which has got excited state, it will come again down or return to the ground state very soon. And in this process an excited atom radiates spontaneously an electromagnetic radiation to de-excite itself. Right? Initially, atom is an excited state of energy E2, and it drops into the lower state of energy E1, but it emits a photon energy while coming down. Yes, if you see in diagram, you will understand what actually I am trying to say. Whenever the atom has absorbed the electromagnetic radiation or any photon energy, it gets excited from E1 energy level to the E2 energy level, and after that it was in excited state, it was unstable, so it wants to be stable, so that's why it will again come down to the ground state energy level, but while coming down it will emit a photon of energy, that is also represented by E photon, that is H nu is equal to E2 minus E1. So the frequency of emitted radiation, frequency of that emitted radiation is directly proportional to the energy difference between these two levels, that is E2 minus E1. Okay, so what is frequency? It is nu. So h nu is directly proportional to E2 minus E1. Okay, this process is spontaneous because no external triggering is required. It is spontaneous, means immediately that matter or that atom comes down to the ground state and it emits a photon of energy. Okay, so according to quantum mechanics, if the electron is in excited state with the energy E2, it may spontaneously decay to the ground state with energy E1. So releasing the difference in the energy between these two states, that is E2 minus E1, as a photon, that is h nu. So this process is called as spontaneous emission, and whatever the photon of energy it has emitted, we have written it as h nu is equal to E2 minus E1. That emitted photon is called as fluorescent light. It produces fluorescent light. Okay, the process here does depend on the nature of an atom, because nature of an atom is very important here, and also which type of transition has been done here. Also this process is a random character. In a group of excited atom, each one of it spontaneously emit a photon, and in totality, if there is a group, then in totality the emission are in random direction and also in random phase. So as a result, in this case, random mixture of quanta have different wavelengths, so the radiation is highly incoherent. What is coherent and incoherent, that we will see in next slide. So it also has a broad spectrum. The light from ordinary light bulb or from the filament is produced by this process. These are the examples of spontaneous emission. Light from ordinary bulb and from the filament, that is the example of spontaneous emission, because it is the process which is exactly opposite to absorption. In absorption, what happens? That atom gets excited from ground state energy level to the excited state energy level, and that transition has been done because of the absorption of radiation. But in here, spontaneous emission, what happens? The matter is already present in excited state and it is spontaneously coming down to the ground state, and while it coming down, it emits a photon of energy, and that energy is produces, or it termed as fluorescent light. Okay, so the example of spontaneous emissions are light from ordinary bulb and or we can say the light from coming out from filament. Okay, so these are the examples. So I hope you must give both the points, that is absorption of light or absorption of electromagnetic radiation, and second is spontaneous emission. Now let us see third, that is stimulated emission. This is the main principle behind the laser beam. So here in stimulated emission, what actually this process is? It is a process in which one uses an external triggering. We have seen in spontaneous emission, there is no external triggering required. The matter decayed spontaneously to the ground state level, right? But in stimulated emission, here external triggering is required with appropriate frequency. Why? So that the transition from higher to lower state occurs at the frequency, at that particular frequency, right? If we need that appropriate frequency, then here external triggering is most important. Or we can say, in other words, the incident of radiation on a particle that is in excited state stimulates the emission of similar radiation by transition of lower energy level. Means here the absorption photon and the emitted photon, that will have equal frequency. So according to this theory, an interaction between a triggering photon and excited atoms leads an atom to make a transition to ground state, right? So this transition generates an additional photon, and that would be identical to the triggering photon in respect of phase, right? So in respect of phase as well as state of polarization, or we can say direction, and in frequency, that will have same frequency as well. So this process is force emission, and as it is uses external triggering, that's why it is called as stimulated emission. Okay, so because of the stimulated emission, whatever the radiation which is going to emit after the whole process, that radiation is coherent, or we can say it is monochromatic, whatever the desired light is. In spontaneous emission, the radiation which is emitted or photon which is emitted, that is not coherent, that is incoherent, and that is also not monochromatic. So but here, whatever the radiation is emitted after the whole process, that radiation is coherent, that is the desired light that we want. Okay, so what actually stimulated emission is? It is a transition from higher to lower energy state, produces an additional photon with the same phase and the direction as that of the incident photon, and that whole process is called as stimulated emission. If you see in diagram, then you can see the first of all a matter who was in already was in excited state or excited energy level, and it it wants to come in ground state energy level. So whatever the amount of photon energy it will emit while coming down to the ground state energy level, right? So that photon energy will have same phase, same direction and same frequency as that of the incident photon. It will also coherent, not incoherent, it will also coherent and monochromatic light. Okay, so this is actually stimulated emission, and laser beam is based on the stimulated emission principle. Okay, so I hope you must get the point. That is the principle of laser beam. And now we will see properties of lasers. There are mainly 4 properties, which are for monochromaticity or wavelength purity. Then second is coherence. Third is directionality. And fourth is intensity and power. So we will see all these properties one by one. How laser beam is monochromatic, how it is coherent, how it is purely directional, and how it is highly intensified and highly powerful. So let us see first property, that is monochromaticity. Laser beam is highly monochromatic in nature than that of the any ordinary conventional light. Laser beam is highly monochromatic. It is spread over continuous range of a wavelength and therefore not monochromatic. But ordinary light, it is not monochromatic because it spreads all over the range of the wavelengths. But laser light, it is a monochromatic. It has a single wavelength, right? Always the light emitted from laser is always monochromatic, that is it is one of the wavelength, means only one wavelength is there, pure wavelength. But ordinary light, it is contrasted, right? It is the combination of many different wavelength or many different colors. The high monochromaticity of laser light, that implies the duration of continuous wave which is trains emitted by a laser and is several orders of magnitude which is higher than that are obtained by any other optical means. So because of this, with the laser beam, one can easily carry out interference experiment over the distance from the tens or meters upwards, because as it is highly monochromatic pure wavelength, it can travel a long distance, right? So this is the first and most important property of laser, that it has a highly monochromaticity property. Then second is highly coherent. The second property is about coherence. Laser light is highly coherent because the stimulated emission give rise to the coherence in the radiated beam. That is, all the emitted photons are in same phase, right? We have seen in principle, that is stimulated emission, that the laser beam is highly coherent because emitted photons are in same phase. And as started earlier, wave trains emitted by individual laser which can be several hundred kilometers long. So when such a two wave trains interfere with each other after traveling such a large distance, they will still capable of producing a steady interference pattern. And on the other hand, the coherence length for the wave train emitted by the light bulb, which is typically less than meter, it cannot travel a distance of about a meter also. But the laser beam, as it is highly coherent, it can travel several hundred kilometers long distance. Right? If you see in diagram, an ordinary light, it spreads all over, so that's why it cannot travel a distance, long distance. But laser light, it travels in one direction only, it is coherent as it has only one wavelength, so that it can travel long distance, several hundred kilometers of distance also it can travel. So the light from laser which is said to be coherent, which means the wavelength of the laser light are in same phase in a space as well as in time. You can imagine how coherent laser light is and how incoherent LED light is. Yes, diagram shows it specifically. So this was all about coherency. So I hope you must get two properties. First was monochromaticity. Laser beam is highly monochromatic. Then second is coherence. Laser beam is highly coherent. Okay. Now let us see third property, that is highly directional. Laser beam is highly directional because the laser beam is in the form of it may be in the form of pencil of rays that propagate a long distance without any divergence or any spreading, like a ordinary light. Ordinary bulb, if you can see in diagram, ordinary bulb goes to, or we can say, spread all over the space, but laser beam does not spread, it does not diverge, it goes only in single direction. That's why it is said to be a highly directional. It emits a light which is highly directional, and also they emitted as a relatively narrow beam in a specific direction. But this is exactly opposite to ordinary light. Ordinary light, such as coming from sun or a light bulb or a candle, it is emitted in many direction away from the sources. But laser, it goes only in single direction. That's why it is called as highly directional. Okay, so laser has third property, third and most important property, that directionality. It goes only in single direction. Okay, this is the third important property. Then fourth is about intensity and power. Laser beam is highly intense and highly powerful. Right? It is much more brighter than that of the from any other source of light. It can generate extremely high power because it is possible to have high intensity laser that can be focused to very small area. Right? As it is directional, as it is coherent, as it is monochromatic, it can be concentrated into a very small spot, and the intensity of that very small spot is high because light can be sharply focused only that spot, right? So this implies that it is possible to have large amount of laser light energy incident upon that small area. Okay, if there are a lot of lasers which has been come out and get combined to make a super laser, so that super laser will create intense electrical field that will pull ghost particle apart so that stay in existence long enough to detected. So this is the most important application of the laser also, because it has a highly intensity and highly powerful. Okay, so these are the four important properties of laser, that is, it is monochromatic in nature, it is highly coherent, it goes in single direction, so that it has directionality property, and it is highly intense and highly powerful. Okay, so these are the most important properties which makes a laser very important. Now, last point, let us see applications of laser. What are the applications? You all know where lasers are used. So the first is laser beam is used to measure distances of sun, moon, stars and satellite very accurately as it goes in single direction. So to the several 100 kilometers of distance. That's why it is useful while measuring the distance between sun and earth, then distance between moon and earth, then other stars and or other satellites very accurately. Okay. Then second is, it can be used for measuring velocity of light to study spectrum of matter, to study Raman effect. If you have been study spectroscopy, you will understand what is the exactly use of the laser in that spectrum. Okay. Then third is, it can be used for increasing speed and efficiency of computer as well, because in technology laser has wide applications. Okay. Then fourth is, it is used for welding. Yes, as it is very intense and very powerful, it can be used for welding of any uh, materials. Okay. Then it is used in biomedical sciences. Yes, in medical field, laser are used for just a cutting or destroying the cancerous cells. So these are some very much important applications of laser in medical field as well, because it goes in one single direction and it has a intensity more than any other lights. Okay. And the last application is, it is used in 3D photography. Okay. So laser has more applications in any other fields as well, because of its properties, because the properties like monochromaticity and the coherent, and as well directions and directionality and intensity and powerfulness of the laser, it has become a very important factor in all type of fields. So that's why the applications of lasers are very and it is widely used in all the fields. Okay. So I hope you must get all these points, what actually laser is, what is the full form of laser, that is the most important. Laser is acronymed as light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Now you must get what is the light amplification, what is stimulated emission, and what is electromagnetic radiation. So these are three terms are combined, that is light amplification and stimulated emission and electromagnetic radiation. Okay. So stimulated emission of electromagnetic radiation happens and that is amplified. Okay. Means that is amplified, light amplification. So and as a result it forms a laser beam, right, that is a monochromatic, that is a coherent, that is in direct one in single direction, and that is highly intensive, highly powerful. So that's why it is widely used in all the fields. Okay. And also the principle and the properties and the application we have completed about lasers, and here we have completed second chapter, that is laser, and in next video we will see third chapter, that is fiber optics. Okay. Till then write these points in your notebook and be ready for assignments. Okay. Till then, thank you and bye bye.